Did I try one of these to see if it would be perfect right now? Yes. Did I try more than one? I'm not telling you. Hey everybody, welcome to Lord Saunders Smokehouse. I am Lord Saunders, and today we are doing a delectable treat, the pork belly burnt in. Now, I just recorded an entire segment on how to chop this pork belly up into cubes and what we're gonna do today, and the camera wasn't recording. So, I'm gonna pick up from where we left off with it already cubed, and we're gonna let it ride. Yeah, that's the way it goes. Okay, so to get here, what I had done was I had taken the two outer thirds of a pork belly that I had cut. It was a 9-pounder. I cut it into thirds. I used the center third to create a brisket style pork belly. So that's that nice clean center. And then I used the outer 2/3 and I cut them up into 1-inch cubes. And you notice that this kind of looks a little bit familiar. Well, that's because this is where bacon comes from. Pork belly is where bacon comes from. You'd put it in a Ziploc bag and you'd cure it for a week. Then you cut it out. You can slice it however you want. You can smoke it, fry it, whatever you want. In this case, we're going to do the burnt ends, which are a delicious treat. And now we're going to season them. I'm going to use the olive oil as a binder. I'm going to use 60-40 mix of kosher salt and 16 mesh black pepper. And then I'm also going to use the Traeger pork and poultry rub, which is the apple and honey flavor. So let's get into it. I'm going to go ahead and use a little bit of the olive oil. I'm going to mix it all in there. The pork can take a lot of seasoning. It's a wonderful meat to cook with, especially when you're first getting started. It can take a lot of abuse. It can be, it's very forgiving, and you always get just like phenomenal results. So I'm gonna season these pretty heavily. After we smoke these, then the traditional step after that is to put them in a pan just like this, covered in tin foil. You put some butter, brown sugar, and honey, and then you get that nice candy flavor, right? Which is great. So, but sometimes you don't want to do that, and you really want the meat to stand on its own. So, I'm going to season these heavily. Now, we are going to do that, and there is one more step after that, which we can put if you want to do like a sauce or anything like that. I typically don't like the sauces. They either taste too ketchup-y, or they just add a kind of a sweetness that I'm not looking for. But that's okay. That's all right. If you like that stuff, you do you. Yours will be delicious. And if you make it the way you like, and the way your family and friends like it, then you will always be a hero in their book. So, again, don't be shy. Season them up. Once we season these, we are going to get these on the smoker at 250. I'm doing a Traeger today, a Traeger cook today. So one of the magic temperatures of the Traeger is 250. So today we're going to do it at 250, and we will put that on there for about 2 hours, and then we'll check temperature and fat render. Fat render, of course, being the most important. And then once we have that all situated and ready to go, we'll come back in, put some brown sugar on it, get some butter on it, and go from there. Let's get our rub on here. Again, not sponsored by Traeger, just really, really enjoy the flavor of these, of their rubs. They did it really well. A lot of people, whenever I do an A/B test, will choose the Traeger rubbed versions over anything else that I've done. So what I found is that their rubs, specifically their beef and their poultry and pork rub, is that it really just brings an enhancement to the flavor and adds just that little bit of extra element there that you want in your flavor, in your meat. So I use a pretty general spritz. These do not cake up or prevent smoke from getting into them. So I will always enjoy these because it's a little bit more granular as opposed to more powdery. So I will always use this without hesitation, without fear. And I have not yet run into a time where I've been too generous with the rub and I wasn't getting good smoke penetration. I wasn't getting good meat flavor. So I'm happy with it. So, all right. What we're gonna do now is, in order to not have to put each and every one of these pieces onto the grill individually into the smoker, I'm gonna put them on some wire racks, which will make it much, much easier to transport, get on and off, etc. Again, we're doing Traeger today, so we're gonna go fat side down because the heat's coming straight from underneath and we want to, really protect the pork at all costs. All right, everything's out. Let's get it on the smoker. 250, 2 hours, now. All right, so now we've got them onto the Traeger. I did them horizontally because A, it'll fit, and B, I want to keep the meat above the heat shield. When you get past the heat shield, sometimes you'll crisp up whatever you're cooking. Ask me how I know. I've definitely crisped up a couple of brisket flats when I've got 3 going in here at a time. But we're gonna let this rock at about 250 for about 2 hours. We'll come check it out, see how the temperature's doing, check the fat render most importantly. And then once we get this done, we'll get it back inside in the oven and going for the nice like candy portion of it. So, see you in about 2 hours. I'm gonna get the smoke tube in there and we'll be good to go. See you soon. Okay, it's been about 3 hours, a little less. I checked it at the 2 hour mark and I ended up bumping up the temperature to 275 and letting it go for another 45 minutes or so. Should have probably come back in about 2 hours and a half, but let's take a look and see how we're doing. Oh yeah. All right, these are looking great. So let's get a quick temp in the meat. Let's get some meat. Ooh, these are tender. 205, 204. Okay, so these could have come off a little bit ago. The fat is like super rendered and squishy. That's what we want, nice and pillowy. These are actually done. What we'll do now is we'll get that honey and butter on them and brown sugar, and then we will just put them on for about 30 minutes in the oven. And we'll just that way we'll get that nice candy flavor and we'll be done. So let's get these off and into the kitchen. All right, now we're at the next step. At the 2 hour mark, I checked everything. It was still feeling tight and not fat rendered. So I bumped up the temperature to 275 and then I put it on for another 45 minutes. Now that was a great move for fat render, but I basically cooked them all the way to being done, which is fine. What we'll do now, instead of putting it in the oven for another hour, is I'll cover it and we'll just get the butter, sugar, and honey all over it for like 30 minutes. That way it won't overcook and we will still get that nice good candy flavor. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna add in 1.5 sticks of butter. Now we're gonna put them in little pats all over it. This is already not healthy. It's pork belly. So don't worry about the butter. You know, the ancestors will tell us how much butter we need. Did I try one of these to see if it would be perfect right now? Yes. Did I try more than one? I'm not telling you. This is delicious. So you could stop right here and be totally fine. This is just a little extra part to get that candy flavor, and it's gonna be great. We wanna make sure that we have a nice even coverage, and then when we get it out, we'll stir it up. So again, 1.5 sticks of butter in pats all over, good to go. We wanna get our brown sugar here. Hands are clean, freshly washed. Really want to get that candy flavor. So let's get some nice brown sugar, even coverage. And again, this is what you'll like find the most common way to do this. I like it, it worked out well, and the family goes crazy for it. So we're gonna do that. Got the brown sugar. Now we add the honey. So we are not going to be shy with this either, but we're not gonna be insane, that would be ridiculous. All right, now we're gonna cover it with some tin foil, get it in the oven, and we'll go 250 for 30 minutes. This might be the worst tinfoil I have ever seen. All right, we're covered, into the oven. All right, it's been about 30 minutes and we're ready to pull these pork belly burnt ends out of the oven with the honey, brown sugar, and the butter. So let's open it up and see how it looks. Woo! Oh man. Look at that. Now let's do a mix, just to make sure everything has a nice, good coating on it. All right, so what I'm gonna do now is put it on the cutting board to share. Oh man, the smell of this is torture. And I'm about to have one. Oh man, I can't wait. All right, so at the risk of burning the absolute fire out of my mouth, let's try a piece. Oh my God. It is the absolute perfect blend of savory and sweet. And as I mentioned before, I don't usually like the savory and sweet. I mean, sometimes I do, but this has so much pork flavor mixed in with the sweet. It's an actual, like, it's just a balance that's very hard to get for me, and where I like it in that way. So this is great. I'm very happy with this. I can't wait to share it with the family who'll be home any minute. And this is one of their favorite treats. Whenever they visit, whenever they are gone for a while and come back, everybody wants the pork belly pig candy. Now, there is one extra step you could take if you wanted to. You could take this, leave it in the pan, and then add a sauce to it. But for me, I like just this. Again, the balance of savory and sweet is perfect. I hope they get home soon because I will definitely eat all of this before they get here. But this is really good. So if you wanted to do that extra step, add the sauce, coat your pork, throw it in there for another 15 minutes just so that it gets tacky, and then you're done. So this is the pork belly pig candy. Super easy, super quick, very easy to do, not a lot of ingredients, nothing complex. So let me know how it goes for you. I look forward to hearing from you, and hopefully we'll see you soon. Thanks a lot.